Hello, this is going to be a lesson on operations with integers. Okay, the reason why for this lesson is because a lot of times students have a difficulty with positive and negative numbers, and that's what integers is going to be about. Positive and negative numbers, how to add and subtract and multiply and divide. These are the basic rules. Just to give a refresher, because these rules are so important and you see throughout the course. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands, and here we go. Adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Here's the basic rule. If the signs are the same, you add. If the signs are different, you subtract. And then you use the sign of the biggest digit. Okay? So here I have two numbers, -1, -5. Okay, is the signs the same or different? The signs are the same, so that means I would add, and the sign of the biggest digit here being 5, the sign is negative, so the answer is negative. Okay, forget about adding, subtracting. Okay, just look at the signs. Are the signs the same or different? They're the same. And according to the rule, you add. So I add it. And you use the sign of the biggest digit. The biggest digit here is 5. I just want to clarify that I'm saying biggest digit and not biggest number. Because if I talk about biggest number, okay, this is a -1 and this is -5. -1 is bigger than -5. But when I'm talking about digit, I'm just talking about the digit, not in. So that means just 1 and 5. Which one is bigger? 5. Okay. So that's basically what I mean by biggest digit. Okay. So let's see the next one. What is the sign in front of the 2? Well, 2 does not have a sign, so that means it's a positive. Okay. So with that in mind, signs are the same. So according to this, I add, I get 5, and I use the sign of the biggest, which would be a positive. Now, positive numbers, usually you don't have to write the sign if the number is by itself or is in the beginning of an expression. If a number is in the middle of an expression, like this number 14, you must write the positive sign. But if it's by itself, you don't have to write the positive sign. So the answer here is positive 5. Alright, let's keep going. -11, -7. Signs are the same. So we add, so we get 18, and we use the sign of the biggest. Sign of the biggest is negative, is 11, so it would be -18. Next one, -10, -14. Signs are different, so that means I subtract. 14 minus 10 is 4, and sign of the biggest would be positive, so that's my answer. Next one, -10 plus 8. Signs are different, so you subtract, and it would be the sign of the biggest, so it would be a negative. Alright, the next one would be 11 minus 24. Signs are different, so you subtract. So 24, take away 11, that would be 13. So the answer is 13. And the sign of the biggest would be a negative. So that's my answer. Next one, this is a positive, and this is a negative. Signs are different, so you subtract, so it would be positive 3. The next one I have 3 terms, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first 2 first, and I'm just going to bring down the -10. So let's see, the first 2 signs are the same, so the rule says to add, so it would be 8. Sign of the biggest is negative because 5 is the biggest and the sign of it is negative. Now I'm going to bring down the -10. Signs are the same, so I would add, and sign of the biggest would be then negative, -18. Alright, very well. Let's keep going on the examples. Then I have -7 and -11. Signs are the same, so I would add, and I'll get 18, and it would be a negative because 11 is the biggest. Bring down 34. Signs are the same, so I add. 18 plus 34 is 52, and it will be a negative because 34 is the biggest term. Alright, next one. Signs are different because 12 is positive and 15 is negative, so it would be a 3, and it would be a negative because 15 is the biggest. Bring down the 4x. Signs are the same, so I would add, and sign of the biggest would be negative. Alright, this one I have 4, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do in pairs. And first one is signs are the same, I would add, would be 15. Sign of the biggest would be negative because 12 is the biggest. Then I have positive 11 minus 27. Signs are different, so I subtract 27, take away 11, it would be 6, 16. And it would be a negative because 27 is bigger than 11. Alright, signs are the same, I would add, it would be 31. And it would be a negative because 16 is the biggest and 16 is negative. Alright, last one. Do in pairs. Signs are different. According to this, I subtract. So this would be 12 take away 9 is 3x. And it would be the sign of the biggest. So it would be negative 3x. On the next two, signs are the same. So I would add and I would get 12x. And sign of the biggest would be a negative. These two signs are the same, so I would add, and sign of the biggest would be a negative. Okay, so this concludes the rules for adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now let's talk about the second rule that's very important in algebra, which is multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. Okay, the rules are very simple. The digits you just multiply or divide as you normally would, but the signs you need to follow these rules. Okay, the rules are positive and a positive is a positive, positive and a negative is a negative, negative and a positive is a negative, negative and a negative is a positive. Okay, so be careful. Adding, subtracting, the previous rules is you use the sign of the biggest. Here you have to memorize this table right here. You have to memorize these rules. So here we have negative 1 times negative 5, and we know that because of the parentheses. The parentheses signify there is a multiplication. Negative 1 times negative 5 is 5. So 1 times 5, the digits you just multiply as you normally would. Now a negative times a negative is a positive. So we just leave it without a sign. Alright, next one. 6 times negative 7. 6 times 7 is 42. And a positive times a negative is a negative. And that's it. 11 times 7 is 77. A positive times a negative is a negative. Here we have a number times an expression, 5x minus 3. Okay, basically what we're going to do is we're just going to use distributive property. That means we're going to multiply by each term inside the second parenthesis. So this would be negative 10 times 5x is negative 50x. And negative 10 times negative 3 is positive 30. Alright. Now we're going to do the next one, which is division. So negative 10 divided by negative 2 is 5. And negative becomes a positive. Negative 12x divided by 4 is 3x. And a negative divided by a positive is negative. And then we have negative 7 divided by 14. Can I divide 7 by 14? The answer is no. Can I reduce the fraction? Is there a number that goes into 7 and 14? And the answer is 2. I'm sorry, 7. So if I divide top and bottom by 7, I'll get 1 and 2. And then you ask about the sign. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. And you can either put here on the top or right here in the middle. Okay? Alright, 25x divided by 25 is 1x. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and you don't have to write the positive. Also, usually we don't write the 1x, we just write x. So if you wrote x or 1x is okay. Alright? So this concludes the rules of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative numbers. Okay? What I would encourage you to do is, once you have this page right here, on the website you're going to be able to see a page that has some practice problems. Go ahead and try the practice problems, and then check with the answers that is also provided on the website. Okay? And that way you can practice and see if you're doing it correctly for these types of problems. I want to thank you very much for your time, and have a great day. Bye.